Emma had always been surrounded by people. Growing up in a bustling household with 3 siblings, there was never a moment of quiet. After school, she moved to a big city for college, sharing apartments with friends and later with her partner, Ben. For years, her life was a whirlwind of social activities, work commitments, and the constant noise of city life. It was all she had ever known. But then, everything changed. Emma and Ben had been together for nearly a decade when their relationship began to unravel. What started as small disagreements eventually grew into deep-seated resentment. The warmth they once shared slowly turned cold, and the home they built together felt more like a battleground. After months of trying to mend what was broken, they finally decided to part ways. The breakup left Emma feeling lost and uncertain. She moved out of their shared apartment and into a small, one-bedroom flat on the outskirts of the city. It was the first time in her life that she found herself living alone. At first, the silence was deafening. The absence of Ben's voice, the lack of footsteps in the hall, and the quiet nights were unsettling. Emma didn't know what to do with herself. She felt isolated, her loneliness magnified by the sudden stillness around her. She missed the comfort of having someone nearby, the shared routines, and the sense of companionship. However, as the weeks passed, something unexpected began to happen. Emma started to notice small changes in herself and her surroundings. The solitude that once felt suffocating began to feel like a blanket of calm. She realized she could set her own pace, follow her own rhythms, and make choices without compromise. There was a newfound sense of freedom in her solitude that she had never experienced before. Emma's mornings transformed into moments of quiet reflection. She would wake up early, brew a cup of coffee, and sit by the window, watching the world outside. The city, usually so overwhelming, seemed distant and almost peaceful from her little haven. She began to savor these moments of tranquility, finding joy in the simplicity of being alone. Without the distractions of a shared life, Emma had time to reconnect with herself. She picked up old hobbies she had long neglected, painting, reading, and writing in her journal. She spent hours lost in books, exploring new worlds, and rediscovering her love for art. The creativity that had been stifled for so long began to flow freely once more. One day, while browsing through her local bookstore, Emma came across a book on meditation. She had always been curious about the practice, but never found the time to try it. Now, with her days open and free, she decided to give it a go. At first, it was challenging to quiet her mind, but with persistence, she found a sense of peace and clarity she had never known. Meditation became a daily ritual, helping her center herself and find balance in her new life. Emma also took up hiking, something she had always enjoyed but never pursued seriously. Living near the outskirts of the city, she was close to several nature trails. On weekends, she would pack a small bag and set off on solo adventures. Long walks through the woods, with nothing but the sounds of nature around her, became a form of therapy. She found solace in the natural world, feeling more connected to herself with each step she took. As Emma embraced her time alone, she noticed a shift in her relationships as well. The friendships that had been strained by the intensity of her previous life began to flourish again. She reconnected with old friends, meeting for coffee or going on weekend trips. These interactions felt more meaningful as she was now fully present, not distracted by the chaos that once filled her days. Through this journey, Emma discovered the power of self-reliance. Living alone meant she had to handle everything herself, from fixing a leaky faucet to managing her finances. These tasks, which once seemed daunting, became opportunities for growth. Each challenge she overcame boosted her confidence and deepened her sense of independence. But the most profound change was within Emma herself. The time alone allowed her to reflect on who she was and what she wanted from life. She realized that much of her identity had been tied to her relationships with others, her role as a partner, a friend, a colleague. Living alone gave her the space to explore her identity independent of these roles. Emma began to understand her own needs and desires more clearly. She started setting boundaries, both in her personal and professional life, learning to say no when necessary. She no longer felt the need to please others at the expense of her own well-being. This newfound self-awareness led to healthier relationships and a stronger sense of self. Months turned into a year, and Emma's life had changed in ways she never imagined. The loneliness that had once seemed unbearable was now a distant memory. She had found strength in her solitude, discovering a deep inner resilience. Living alone had become a powerful experience of self-discovery and growth. One day, Emma decided to take a break from the city altogether. She rented a small cabin in the mountains for a week, seeking a deeper connection with nature and herself. The cabin was rustic, with no internet or cell service, offering a complete detachment from the outside world. For 7 days, she immersed herself in the wilderness, hiking, journaling, and simply being. The experience was transformative. In the quiet of the mountains, Emma felt a profound sense of peace. She realized that she didn't need the constant noise and busyness of the city to feel fulfilled. The simplicity of her time in the cabin showed her that true contentment came from within, not from external circumstances. When Emma returned to the city, she brought with her a renewed sense of purpose. She made some significant changes in her life, scaling back her work hours, moving to a smaller, more peaceful neighborhood, and dedicating more time to the activities that brought her joy. She no longer felt the need to chase after a busy life filled with distractions. Instead, she chose to focus on what truly mattered to her. Emma's transformation didn't go unnoticed. Friends and colleagues remarked on the positive changes in her demeanor and outlook on life. She was calmer, more centered, and exuded a quiet confidence that others admired. People began seeking her advice on how to find balance and peace in their own lives. As the years passed, Emma continued to live alone, but she was never lonely. She had built a rich inner life and a strong sense of self, which allowed her to be content in her own company. She had also cultivated meaningful relationships that were based on mutual respect and understanding rather than dependency. One day, Emma was asked to speak at a local community event about her journey. She shared her story with the audience, talking about the challenges and rewards of living alone. She emphasized the importance of self-discovery, resilience, and the power of solitude. Her words resonated with many, inspiring them to embrace their own journeys of self-reliance and growth. In the end, Emma's story became a testament to the transformative power of living alone. What had once seemed like a daunting, lonely experience turned out to be the most empowering chapter of her life. She had discovered that solitude was not something to be feared, but rather a gift that allowed her to connect with her true self and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. Emma's journey continues as she remains committed to living authentically and embracing the quiet strength that comes from within. She knows that the path of solitude is not always easy, but it is one that leads to profound personal growth and a deeper understanding of oneself. And in that understanding, she has found a sense of peace that she once thought was out of reach. Emma's story became a guiding light for others in her community, especially for those who were struggling with the idea of solitude. Her experience demonstrated that living alone could be more than just a circumstance. It could be a powerful choice that led to self-discovery and fulfillment. As she settled into her new life, Emma found herself becoming a mentor to others who were embarking on similar journeys. She started a small group in her community called the Circle of Solitude, where people could come together to share their experiences of living alone and offer support to one another. The group quickly grew in popularity, attracting people from all walks of life: recently divorced individuals, empty nesters, and even those who had chosen to live alone from the start. During the meetings, Emma would often share her insights, emphasizing the importance of embracing solitude as a time for personal growth rather than seeing it as a void to be filled. She encouraged others to explore their passions, set personal goals, and take time for self-reflection. Her approach was gentle yet empowering, and many found comfort in her words. The Circle of Solitude became a safe space for its members, where they could discuss their fears and challenges without judgment. Some spoke of the initial loneliness they felt, while others shared how they had grown to appreciate the freedom that living alone afforded them. Over time, the group evolved into a close-knit community where friendships were formed and a new kind of support network was established. One evening, a woman named Linda joined the group for the first time. She was in her late 40s, recently separated from her husband, and struggling to adjust to life on her own. Linda was hesitant to share her story at first, but Emma's calm and reassuring presence encouraged her to open up. She spoke about the fear of facing an empty house every day and how she missed the companionship she once had. Emma listened intently, nodding as Linda spoke. When Linda finished, Emma gently offered her perspective. "I understand how difficult it can be to transition from a life filled with others to one where you're alone. It's natural to feel a sense of loss, but solitude doesn't have to be lonely. It can be an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to discover who you are outside of your roles as a partner or caregiver. It's a chance to cultivate a relationship with yourself that's just as meaningful as any other." Linda's eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of relief. For the first time since her separation, she felt understood and hopeful. Emma's words gave her a new perspective on her situation. She began to see her solitude not as a burden, but as a chance to rebuild her life on her terms. In the weeks that followed, Linda started attending the Circle of Solitude regularly. She slowly began to enjoy her time alone, rediscovering hobbies she had neglected for years. She took up photography, capturing the beauty of the world around her, and found that this creative outlet brought her immense joy. Linda's transformation mirrored Emma's journey, and soon, she too began to inspire others in the group. Emma was proud of the community she had helped build, The Circle of Solitude was not just a support group, it was a celebration of the power and beauty of living alone. The members often organized outings, from nature walks to museum visits, where they could experience the joys of solitude together. These activities allowed them to see that being alone didn't mean being isolated. Rather, it was about enjoying one's own company and finding fulfillment within. As time passed, Emma's life continued to evolve. She deepened her meditation practice, eventually becoming a certified meditation instructor. She began offering classes to the community, teaching others how to find peace within themselves, even in the midst of life's challenges. Her classes were popular, drawing people who were seeking a sense of calm and clarity in their lives. Emma also found herself drawn to writing. She started a blog where she chronicled her experiences and the lessons she had learned from living alone. Her blog, titled Solitude and Strength, gained a loyal following, with readers from around the world resonating with her words. Emma's writing was honest and reflective, offering insights into the joys and struggles of solitude. She wrote about the importance of self-compassion, the beauty of simplicity, and the power of embracing one's true self. Her blog eventually led to a book deal, and Emma spent the next year writing her first book, The Power of Solitude. The book was a blend of memoir and guide, filled with personal stories, practical advice, and reflections on the transformative nature of living alone. When it was published, the book received critical acclaim, praised for its warmth, wisdom, and relatability. The Power of Solitude became a bestseller, reaching readers far beyond Emma's small community. The book touched the lives of many who were struggling with loneliness, offering them a path to self-discovery and empowerment. Emma received letters from readers who shared their own stories of transformation, thanking her for giving them the courage to embrace their solitude. Despite her growing success, Emma remained grounded. She continued to live in her modest flat, finding joy in the simple pleasures of everyday life. Her days were filled with writing, teaching, and spending time in nature. She maintained her connections with the Circle of Solitude, finding fulfillment in the relationships she had built there. Emma's journey had come full circle. What began as a painful experience of loss and loneliness had blossomed into a life of purpose, creativity, and connection. She had discovered the true power of living alone, not just as a means of surviving, but as a way of thriving. In her solitude, Emma had found herself. She had learned to listen to her inner voice, to trust her instincts, and to live authentically. She had built a life that was rich in meaning and joy, not because of the people around her, but because of the deep relationship she had cultivated with herself. Emma's story continued to inspire others, reminding them that living alone could be a path to empowerment and self-discovery. It was a journey that required courage and patience, but one that ultimately led to a deeper understanding of oneself and a life of true fulfillment. And so, Emma's life became a testament to the power of solitude, a journey of self-discovery that turned loneliness into strength and isolation into connection. Her story was a beacon of hope for those who found themselves alone, showing them that within solitude there was the potential for profound personal growth and lasting happiness. As Emma reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point, she realized how far she had come, from the uncertain, lonely woman who had first moved into that small one-bedroom flat, to the confident, self-assured person she had become. The power of living alone had not just shaped her life, it had reshaped her soul, carving out a place within her where peace, strength, and wisdom resided. In her solitude, Emma had learned to appreciate the beauty of life's quiet moments. She discovered that silence was not empty. It was full of possibility and potential. The stillness of her mornings, once intimidating, had become a sacred space where she could connect deeply with herself. The solitude that she once feared became a trusted companion, guiding her toward a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Emma's journey had shown her that solitude was not something to escape from, but something to embrace. It was in the quiet of her own company that she found the courage to face her fears, the clarity to understand her desires, and the strength to pursue her dreams. Living alone had taught her that happiness did not depend on external circumstances, but on the inner peace she cultivated within herself. The relationships she formed with others became richer and more meaningful, grounded in mutual respect and understanding. She learned the art of balance, nurturing her connections with others while also honoring the need for time alone. The friendships she developed within the circle of solitude were profound and genuine, built on shared experiences and a deep appreciation for the unique journey each person was on. Emma's success, both as an author and a teacher, was a testament to the power of living authentically. Her book, The Power of Solitude, was not just a collection of words. It was a piece of her heart, a reflection of the life she had built and the lessons she had learned. It became a beacon of hope for countless others who were navigating their own paths of solitude, offering them comfort and guidance. As she continued to teach meditation, write, and lead her community, Emma felt a deep sense of purpose. Her life was no longer defined by what she had lost, but by what she had gained through her journey. The experience of living alone had allowed her to reclaim herself, to step into her own power, and to live a life that was true to her values and desires. Emma knew that her journey was far from over. Life, she had come to understand, was a constant process of growth and change. There would always be new challenges to face, new lessons to learn, and new opportunities to explore. But now she faced the future with a sense of calm and confidence, knowing that she had the inner resources to navigate whatever came her way. In her solitude, Emma had discovered the greatest gift of all, the ability to be at peace with herself. She had learned that true happiness came not from external validation, but from the quiet contentment that arose from within. She no longer needed the noise of the world to feel alive. She found joy in the simplicity of her own company. As the sun set on another day, casting a golden light over her small flat, Emma sat by the window with a cup of tea in hand. She gazed out at the world, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought her here. The path of living alone had been challenging, but it had also been the most transformative experience of her life. In that moment, Emma realized that she was no longer just surviving. She was thriving. She had built a life that was rich in meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. The solitude that had once seemed like a daunting, lonely place had become a sanctuary where she could grow, reflect, and simply be. And so Emma's story became a testament to the power of living alone. It was a story of transformation, resilience, and self-discovery. It was a story that showed that within solitude there was a profound beauty, a beauty that came from knowing oneself, embracing one's own company, and living a life that was truly one's own. As she finished her tea and the evening grew quiet, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be, content in her solitude, strong in her spirit, and deeply connected to the person she had become. The power of living alone had given her the greatest gift of all, the power to live a life of true and lasting fulfillment.